Thank you. We just met each other on email and had a quick rehearsal this morning. It's great to meet new friends here, isn't it? Thank you, my new friend. Thank you. All right. And then I could have a few of these wonderful stage hands to just move that whole operation off
Adios,
the table.
please.
Okay, then let's get you set how you like without this stuff. Would you like a table with
I don't think that will. I'm just going to sit.
Well, I'm so happy to be able to introduce you to, I feel like crying when I think about him because I just know how much he loves the Heartland Center, and of course Baba knows how much John loves Baba. So I don't know what else I can say, but I'm always touched by your love, John, and his devotion, and he's the president of a Heartland Center, and it's something to say the president, but oh my goodness, if you've ever served on a board for anything, and you're doing it for love, you know that, it's what Baba says about love, true love is no game of the faint-hearted and the weak, it's born of strength and understanding, and so I'm touched by John's love for Baba, and he is going to share with us the miracle of the Heartland Center. Jai Baba, John Pope.
Thank you, Debbie. Jai Baba to everybody, and it's wonderful to be here with you all. Well, Debbie and Angela asked me to say a few words about, and they gave the title, Meher Baba. Baba's Miracle, the Avatar Meher Baba Heartland Center. So welcome to Oklahoma and to Avatar Meher Baba's 60th anniversary Sahabas in remembrance of what Baba did here 60 years ago. Meher Baba sent out his call to you all to meet him here in Oklahoma and to have his Sahabas, his intimate companionship. And you have answered the call. Jai Baba. We are a family. We are a family. We are Meher Baba's family. And we are at home here together in his love. So please, let's all let ourselves feel completely at home together with each other and with Baba. Meher Baba loves us more than words can say. And he has brought us together here to feel and experience his love in a very unique and special way, and discuss and reflect on what he has done for us and for the whole world by shedding his blood on American soil here in the middle of America at the end of the Trail of Tears 60 years ago. In Lord Meher, it's written, "The blood of Christ is a sign of his love for the whole world." America is his, and by his suffering for it, he gave his love so that America may keep its head bowed to the living God. In the Judeo-Christian scriptures, it is written, "For without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin." In Meher Baba's most marvelous advent, his return to earth after 1,400 years, and the long-awaited return of Jesus after 2,000 years, he did something most profound. He shed his blood right smack in the middle of the greatest, most powerful, and most energetically advanced nation on earth, the United States of America. the nation he indicated would be destined to lead the world spiritually into a new age, a new humanity, the world to come, longed for and written about by many of the world's religious traditions and called by many different names. For years he had hinted that a personal disaster must happen to him. For years he had hinted that America was crying for his blood. The prophecy was sealed for all time inside the cover of Elizabeth Patterson's beautiful Jerusalem Bible, where she had written May 24th, 1932, underneath a delicate wildflower, handed to her by her beloved master and preserved within its pages. The prophecy was fulfilled to the day, 20 years later, on May 24th, 1952. This event occurred not only in the middle of America, but also in the middle of a momentous year in Baba's Advent, 1952. At the end of the new life, at the end of Mano Nash, in the middle of the free life, in the middle of the complicated free life, near the middle of his Advent, and in the midst of his silence. Like the crest of a central wave in his mighty oceanic advent, his American sacrifice, May 24th, 1952, came crashing forth. It had been destined to happen for some time, and it finally did happen. In order for America to take its place of spiritual leadership, of leading the world into a new age, a sacrifice was required to set things right and to set America free to fulfill its destiny. It happened in a most vulnerable place in the middle of America, in its heartland, in Oklahoma, the buckle of the Bible Belt, the headquarters for many Native American nations, and it happened at the end of the Trail of Tears, the route Baba had chosen to take to his destiny. It was suggested that the title of this speech be Baba's Miracle, the Avatar Meher Baba Heartland Center. When something wonderful happens out of the blue, unexpectedly, and under difficult to impossible circumstances, there are those who will declare it's a miracle, miraculous. And for those involved in the birth and establishment of the Avatar Meher Baba Heartland Center, it's been like that, miraculous, like an impossible dream come true. Who would have thought that just 6 short weeks after the first ever Oklahoma Sahabas in May of 2002, that there would be a new entity born in Oklahoma known as the Avatar Meher Baba Heartland Center? It happened so quickly and unexpectedly as a spontaneous and inspired byproduct of that most marvelous and spectacular event in 2002, the 50th anniversary Sahabas, organized by Chris and Ann Barker of Texas and Lynn Wilhite of Oklahoma. Many who were at that event are here today, I think. Any raise hands who was there? Okay, probably more outside. At any rate, it was a Sentinel Baba event. Sadly, several of those who were at that event as speakers have since passed on. That includes Leatrice Shaw Johnson, Charmian Deuce Knowles, and Espandiar Vesely. So I would like to just take one moment just to remember them with love and appreciation for their contribution to that event, and also for the inspiration of the birth of the Heartland Center. I too was at that memorable event. It was my first time in Prague, and to this day I have not been able to fully comprehend the depth of what happened there during that gathering. For weeks afterwards, I felt speechless and stunned and knew not what to say of it. It was like the eternal power of Christ had descended on us like a spiritual atom bomb and exploded in our midst. The immensity and potential of what Baba had done that day on May 24th, 1952, was felt powerfully and tangibly. One need only reflect for a moment on the widespread effect on human history of Jesus Christ shedding his blood to begin to see the far-reaching implications on the future of humanity of Baba shedding his blood. I know of no one who was at that event who was not profoundly moved. Towards the end of that wonderful gathering, a committee was formed of enthusiastic volunteers led by Carolyn Ball, a relatively newcomer to Baba, to establish a not-for-profit organization in Oklahoma dedicated to Mayor Baba's cause and for the preservation of the accident site. A board was quickly formed, and Carolyn, as the ringleader, who as a relatively new Baba lover began to struggle with doubts as to whether the project was truly Baba's or not. To assuage her doubts, she began looking for a sign. She had this fantasy, after sending in the paperwork for the certificate of incorporation to the state of Oklahoma in mid-June, that if the paperwork came back and was approved on that auspicious day, July 10th, this would be the sign that it was indeed Baba's wish. Well, now imagine just how disappointed she must have been when that paperwork came back to her on July 9th. Missing a required signature. Her hope was now a hopeless impossibility. She was living in Fayetteville, Arkansas. How could that paperwork ever get back all the way to Oklahoma and through all that red tape in one day? That would indeed be an impossibility, and her heart sank. So now imagine how unbelievably elated she must have been 2 weeks later when she opened a letter from the state of Oklahoma with a certificate of incorporation inside. And to her amazement, it was signed, sealed, and dated, unbelievable as it may seem, July 10th, 2002. So Baba. That's God's perfect timing and Baba's miracle and the birth of the Heartland Center. Exactly 50 years to the day from the end of Baba's complicated free life of July 10th, 1952. Just as the first ever Oklahoma gathering took place exactly 50 years after the 1952 accident, so the Heartland Center was born exactly 50 years after the end of the complicated free life, which was the end of his convalescence from the accident in Myrtle Beach. God's perfect timing. This new nonprofit organization in the state of Oklahoma was now ready to begin in earnest to raise funds, investigate the possibility of purchasing the land where the accident occurred in order to establish a Baba Center there. After the family that owned the property at the accident site made it very clear that they were not interested in selling, efforts to procure the land across the streets were initiated and came within a hair's breadth of being purchased several times. But it was not meant to be, and by 2003, it seemed like a dead end had been reached in the efforts to find a home for the Heartland Center. But then on May 24th, 2004, at a Baal Kulturi meeting in Myrtle Beach, during recollections of Baba's suffering in the 52 event, Carolyn Ball and Lynn Wilhite, who were in the audience, announced to those present that the house where Dr. Burleson and his family had lived for many years was now up for sale. This house, right next door to the Prague Hospital, was where Mani, Sarosh, and other Mandali had been welcomed on many occasions with open arms by the Burleson family. It just so happened that Debbie and Peter Nordine were in the audience and were so moved by the idea of purchasing the house that after discussing it for a few days, Debbie contacted Carolyn and enthusiastically volunteered to head up a fundraising committee to buy the Burleson house. There were some stipulations. Considering the short time frame in which the money had to be raised in the eyes of many, including Carolyn Ball, they felt like that would be another miracle if she and Peter could pull it off before they went to India, just a few months. Thus, when the money started pouring in and the deadline was met, many eyes were opened wide that surely this again was Baba's doing. And another miraculous, impossible situation was made possible when on January 6, 2005, the Burleson house, though in dire need of repairs and renovation, became the official home of the Avatar Mayor Baba Heartland Center. Jai Baba. And thanks to more whirlwind efforts on the part of many people, a plan was made to try to have another Sahavas and a house opening that May to inaugurate and dedicate the Burleson House as the official home of the Avatar Meher Baba Heartland Center. This required intense renovation activity from a house full of workers right up to the very day the Sahavas began. But with Baba's inspiration and the help of many enthusiastic volunteers, this too was pulled off with flying colors. At the same time, through more unexpected and serendipitous events, Michael Ivey, there you are, became available and volunteered to be the very first caretaker for the Heartland Center. So when Baba moves, he can really move quickly. Thus, in May of 2005, the second ever Oklahoma Sahavas was held here in St. Crispin's. And approximately 100 pilgrims, along with a long list of wonderful speakers, gathered together to share their stories and visions for the Heartland Center. In this gathering as well, there was another downpouring of Baba's love and power, so much so that several of the participants began talking about moving to Prague right away. Then after several years of productive Heartland Center activity, lo and behold, in early 2008, Michael Ivey informed us that the house next door, the Morrison House, was now up for sale. It was the home of Speedy Morrison, who is a close friend of the Burlesons. The children used to run back and forth between the two houses growing up. And he had recently passed away. This led to a lively discussion in our next board meeting on whether it might be Baba's wish or not to try to purchase this property and add it to the Heartland Center. We concluded that this was a golden opportunity that might not come again, and that we should at least try. Thus, after a unanimous vote, we began fundraising the money to purchase the Morrison House. We felt that if it was Baba's will, it would happen. Speedy Morrison's son, who actually met Baba and shook his hand as a child when Baba was there, was the one who was selling the house. And when he heard that we were interested in purchasing it, he instantly agreed to keep it off the market for 4 months to give us a chance to raise the money. Thus, once again, once the decision was made, event after event fell into place, and then in July of 2008, just 4 months later, with Baba's help, the Morrison House became a part of the Heartland Center, thus completing another chapter in the history of Baba's Miracle Center in the center of America, the Avatar Mayor Baba Heartland Center. In volume 20 of Awakener magazine, Phyllis Frederick recollects what Baba had prophesied, that Baba had prophesied that there would be 5 centers in the United States. Bal Natu also referred to this in a personal communication to the Heartland Center before he passed away. That article in the Awakener stated about the 5 centers that 1 would be on virgin land with a water lake beside the ocean, and B, a gift from the heart. 1 would be in a big city, 1 in the mountains, 1 in the desert, and 1 in the center of the United States. J-Bob. And this is obviously by the wording and everything, this was stated before the accident. This is many years before that he had made this statement about the 5 centers. At any rate, Baba also said that whenever he stays in a place, however short a period of time, as Debbie mentioned last night, the spiritual atmosphere becomes greatly elevated. And Baba stayed in Prague, Oklahoma for 12 days. To put that in perspective, Baba spent 1 day at Mayor Mount in Ojai, California, and approximately 10 days total in the entire country of Australia. Thus, 12 days in Prague, that's a lot of spiritual elevation in Baba time. Not only that, but of all the locations in the world, Baba chose this place to shed his most precious blood into the earth, making it the new Calvary of the newest avatar, the avatar of this age, Mayor Baba, where for years to come, multitudes of pilgrims will eventually find their way to Prague, Oklahoma, as you have, to feel and experience what he's done more deeply, and to receive of the most marvelous and priceless treasure that he has deposited here for all those who come. when I was preparing for this talk, contemplating what to say, I was surprised to suddenly hear this voice. I don't typically hear voices. And this one was right, it came from here. It wasn't, from your head, it was right here. And I was wondering what to say, and this voice said, "I will speak through you." It was very wow. That was an amazing experience. It was worth it just to get that, just to receive that experience. But then, of course, my head had to ask, "Wow, what are you going to say?" But the answer also came back just as powerfully and clearly, without any hesitation, that, and it was in his person, my accident and the shedding of my blood on American soil had to be, and the Avatar Mayor Baba Heartland Center had to be. So that was it. I'm going to end with a dedication that was received October of 2004 with respect to the Heartland Center. To the glory of God and to the return of Christ to earth, Meher Baba, merciful Father, and to his American sacrifice in the shedding of his blood for the sins of many and for the errors of a nation which led to the trail of tears. To his unfathomable love, which always is, always was, and always will be. And to his work on earth, the greatest of work, and beyond all other works. And to the Avatar Mayor Baba Heartland Center, dedicated to him and to his remembrance, that through this center multitudes may come to know him, to love him, and to understand what he has done. The Avatar Mayor Baba Heartland Center, Baba's Miracle, and the Center of America. Avatar Mayor Baba Ki Jai!
Thank you, John. That was amazing. Thank you.